Good afternoon. I'm Taylor Combeluzier, a mining analyst at Red Cloud Securities. Our next presenter is Jordan Trimble, who's the president and CEO of Skyharbour Resources Limited. Skyharbour holds an extensive portfolio of uranium exploration projects in Canada's Athabasca Basin. Jordan, you'll have 15 minutes, and then we'll have a 5-minute Q&A session at the end of the presentation. Viewers, please feel free to submit your questions. Jordan, please take it.
Great, thanks, Taylor. And again, appreciate everyone tuning in. So we got 15 minutes, not much time. I do want to leave some time for questions. Obviously a very topical, few things happening globally right now. Uranium market's moving, share prices are moving. It's been a very pivotal and important 18 months for the company, previous 18 months. I expect the next 18 months to be just as transformational. We have a lot in the hopper. Lot going on with the drilling at our flagship Moore Lake project, the recent results that we announced, some of the highest grade basement hosted uranium mineralization that have been discovered at that project to date, and then this 2,500 meter drill program that we just announced. We also have partner companies. For those of you that are familiar with the story, you know that we're a dual pronged strategy company. First and foremost, we're focused on high grade discovery and exploration at Moore Lake and actually plans this year for South Falcon Point as well. But then we also act as a prospect generator, and that side of the business has really grown quite a bit here. Just yesterday, one of our partner companies announced some pretty significant news. So we'll get right into it. And like I said, I do implore people to field some questions, as I want to cover as much as I can and address any comments or questions people have. So disclaimer, forward-looking statements. Again, please do read this in your own time. Investment highlights: people, timing, and projects. These are the three core pillars of the company. People, so management team, geological team. One of the things is that for those of you that know the story and know the company well and know our team well, we do take pride in having assembled a geological team that very much has focused uranium exploration expertise in the Athabasca Basin, and that's a very important part of what we're doing and for us to execute on our business plan and our strategy going forward. We have two strategic partners as well that we like to group in there. Denison Mines is our largest corporate and strategic shareholder, and Dave Cates, who's the president and CEO, is on our board of directors, so very important strategic partnership for us in the company. And then last but not least, strategic shareholders, larger and strategic shareholders. I'll get into that later in the presentation, but we do look at them as partners as well. And then timing with the uranium market. So again, I have a handful of slides here. I'll go through them. I'll defer most of that to the Q&A, but needless to say, timing is quite good. I really do think we're in the early innings of this bull market. We're seeing the gains in the uranium price, the price appreciation in the metal translate to higher share prices, which is great across the board. And I think there's still a long way to go here, a lot of runway. It's $50 a pound. We just cracked 50 again. There's still a lot of upside from here. And then the project. So as I pointed out earlier, all Athabasca Basin, 14 projects. We now have one of the largest, most dominant land packages in the Athabasca Basin. Again, for those of you following the news, you'll see we added quite a bit in December. We announced through staking an additional 6 properties that we'd acquired. So over 385,000 hectares, 14 properties, 9 are drill ready, 2 of them have deposits, and they're at various stages of exploration, from earlier stage exploration projects to more advanced stage, even earlier stage development assets. And so you get the full range of properties in Skyharbour. And we now do have exposure not just to the southern, southwest, central, and southeast portions of the basin, but also now to the north and northeast portions of the basin as well, with some of these recent acquisitions. So the people, management team and board. So I started running the company in 2013. I think most of you probably know me or met me, chatted with me. I come from an entrepreneurial and finance background. I was with a gold company previously called Bayfield Ventures, which we built and sold to New Gold in 2014. It's when my chairman, Jim Pettit, and we've worked together for well over a decade. He's been in the industry for over 30 years. We started Skyharbour and teamed up with a geological team in Saskatoon. Dave Kate, you'll see there as a director, a very active director and a very important part of our board. Again, runs Denison Mines as the president and CEO. We'll see just recently too, financing that we carried out in late December, small flow through financing, strong insider participation, including Dave and myself and Jim. So we have a lot of skin in the game. We've continued to add to our positions and we'll continue to do so going forward. So Joe Gallucci joined as a director just over a couple years ago now. So Joe really does bring that additional capital markets bench strength to the team. He's the head of mining investment banking at Laurentian. He's worked with a handful of the team there at Red Cloud, including Dave Talbot, and he has a lot of experience working with uranium, in particular Canadian uranium mining companies. So very happy to have him on board. And then the three below you'll see, so three geologists, Dave Bigyard, Christine McKechnie, and Dylan Drummond. So Dave is a senior geo. He's worked at Cameco previously. He was the COO of JNR Resources. He's really spent most of his career, over almost 40 years now, in the Athabasca Basin. So he's a wealth of knowledge and information. He's credited with making several discoveries or being on the teams, geological teams that made these discoveries, and really does know the basin inside and out. Christine, who's now our senior project geologist and really head field geologist. So Christine has been with us now full time for a number of years, and previously was at Cameco and several other uranium mining companies and junior companies. She actually wrote her thesis on one of our deposits, the Fraser Lake Zone B deposit at our South Falcon Point project. So again, emphasis on this focused expertise, geological expertise in the Athabasca Basin. Our geological team has done it before. They know how to go out there and make these discoveries in the basin. Just rounding out the advisory board and actually new addition as an officer. So you'll see Paul Matizik is a strategic advisor, joined the company several years ago as an advisor and a shareholder. Really needs no introduction. It's been incredibly successful in the mining industry. But just recently in January, we announced we brought on a new senior VP of corporate development, Andrew Rimtaran. And Andrew has a 20+ year experience in the mining industry. He was the corporate development manager for IM Gold for a number of years. But prior to that, he was at SRK, and at SRK, he worked with several uranium companies, including Uranium One, UR Energy, and Uranium. And for those of you that recall, Uranium was sold to Areva in 2007 for $2.5 billion. Now, Areva has since become Orano, and we do have a partnership, a joint venture partnership with Orano at one of our projects, the Preston project. So again, continuing to build the team. We have a good mix of managerial and capital markets experience, coupled with focused technical expertise in the Athabasca Basin, great board of directors, and a strong advisory board as well. So capital structure, quickly get through this. 132 million shares issued and outstanding. So we're just shy of $100 million market cap. Well funded, just over 9 million in the treasury, but most of that in cash, about 6 million in cash. The rest of that is in equity holdings that we have in partner companies. And so this is a part of our prospect generator business that has really come into its own in the last few years and will continue to grow. A part of that is we do take large equity stakes in these partner companies. One thing I will just draw your attention to here, as I mentioned, management and insiders, we've continued to build our positions in the open market and in financings, but you'll see some of these other notable institutional shareholders that have been backing us, supporting us over the last several years. And just in the last year, we've now been included in both of the uranium mining ETFs, the North Shore Global Uranium Mining ETF, that was just under a year ago. And just in the last few months, we were included in the Global X Uranium Mining ETF. So that's needless to say, been great. It's obviously helped with the liquidity and been a boon for the share price. And as money continues to pour into the sector, we'll benefit as a part of the holdings of those ETFs. So I don't want to take up too much time on this on slides. Happy to answer any questions, but just to kind of quickly run through them. And certainly topical now, right now with everything going on in the world. So nuclear energy, couple of key themes and boxes that it ticks off. One is the world needs more electricity. It's going to need more nuclear energy to provide that electricity. Clean energy obviously has been a huge theme and trend here over the last several years. Nuclear energy is the only source of clean, emissions-free baseload, affordable, scalable, reliable, the list goes on, source of electricity generation. And clearly the world's continuing to wake up to that, or to come to that realization that it has to play an important part of the energy mix going forward. More recently, obviously, with conflict globally, energy independence, in particular energy independence in the West, is becoming more topical. And you'll see in this next slide here, the case example of France and Germany. Obviously some news on the weekend that was bullish for uranium potentially. Germany revisiting their what really is a failed energy policy. It could be extending and restarting some of the existing reactors there. France, we know, has doubled down on their nuclear plans, and we've also seen now nuclear included in the EU sustainable finance taxonomy. So this slide here, so uranium market and nuclear power. So fundamentals, if you look at the supply side, I mean, this really has been a supply-driven story for the better part of the last half a decade. We've seen decreasing supply, constrained supply side initially from poor economics and a low uranium price that was exacerbated by the pandemic and other supply side shocks. But really what's interesting, and I want to emphasize this, I think this is going to shift to more of a demand-driven story going forward, as we need more electricity, we need more clean electricity. And so that's where I think things will get interesting in the next few years, as we see demand continue to ramp up from the current 185 to 190 million pounds. China has announced plans for 150 new nuclear reactors in the next 15 years. That's a massive rollout. We have some new SMRs and advanced nuclear technologies that are being developed as well. So I do see this transitioning from a supply side, or at least supply side narrative, to more of a demand side one. Utility uncommitted demand uncovered requirements. For those of you that follow Cameco, you'll see they really kind of ushered into this next contracting cycle with their recent financials. 70 million pounds contracted just over a year, and 40 million of that alone in January. So we are in a new contracting cycle here, which is obviously quite bullish for the metal price. And then last but not least, some of the recent financial entities that have entered the market, Sprott Physical Uranium Trust, Yellowcake, some producers and developers have continued to purchase material, put upward pressure on the price, and sequestered that material. So just being cognizant of time, we'll get right into the projects here, and then I'll hand it over for questions. So this is an updated map that shows these new projects that we acquired, in addition to the existing properties. So again, 14 projects. You'll see Moore Lake, our flagship project, approximately located to regional infrastructure, 15 kilometers east of Denison's Wheeler project. There we have the Maverick corridor. It's a 4.7 kilometer long uraniferous fertile corridor. We've just announced some notable high-grade results, really our highest grade basement hosted drill results, 6.8% U3O8, over 2 meters within the basement rocks at what's called the East Maverick Zone. So we are having continued success there. We do believe there is the potential for a lot more uranium to be found there. We've just commenced a 2,500 meter drill program at Moore Lake that's underway. It's going to be we're going to be drill testing, continuing to follow up on the high-grade basement mineralization that we're finding at the Maverick and East Maverick zones on that Maverick corridor. But we're also going to be testing some of these targets along strike, called at an area called the Viper target area, new geological model we've put together. We're going to be drilling a few holes there. There's some historical results that certainly indicate the potential for a high-grade deposit. It's about 1.5 kilometers just northeast of the main Maverick zone. You'll see it here on this image. And then finally, we are going to be continuing our regional testing at the Grid 19 target area. And this is a for those of you that have been following the story closely, you'll see that we're quite excited about this regional target at the project. It's a new target that we've identified and refined. First few drill holes that we put in there last year, anomalous uranium, but really interesting structure and alteration and indicator minerals. So that's actually where the crews are at right now. We'll get a few holes put in there, and then again test some of the other targets. So look out for news flow, continued news flow from the More Uranium project. Like I said, we have high hopes for this project to continue to deliver high-grade drill results, continue to expand the resource. We are working towards a resource estimate that will be out this year at this project. Again, keep an eye out for news flow as we advance that property over the next few years. And I will just say the 2,500 meter drill program that's currently underway is the first of several phases of drilling. Quickly, South Falcon Point, there's a resource here, 7 million pounds, lower grade at 0.03%, but open along strike and at depth. This is our second core project behind Moore Lake. We are looking to carry out a program here later in the year. News yet to come on that, so stay tuned. And then moving to slide 25 here. So I just want to, before I wrap up here and hand it over, talk a little bit about our prospect generator business, as this has become, certainly become an important part of what we're doing, and it's delivered value and continues to deliver value for shareholders. So we now have 2 joint venture partners, one of which is industry leader Orano Canada at our Preston project, and then the second is Azincourt Energy. So for those of you following Azincourt and saw our news yesterday, a bit of a breakthrough there. This is 3,000 meters into a 6,000 meter drill program, and they've announced what certainly visually is very, very encouraging: elevated radioactivity and all the right rocks, alteration, structure. So I certainly consider it to be a bit of a breakthrough. We'll obviously wait to get the geochem assays back, but fairly exciting, and can't wait to see what the numbers come back as. So they're just over halfway through that program. And then 3 option partners, Valor Resources, Basin Uranium Corp, and Madero. And so you'll see the numbers here. I won't go through every one, but I will just point out that the combined exploration expenditures, just under 20 million funded by partner companies, cash payments of just over 10 million coming into Skyharbour potentially, and share issuances. And as I pointed out on the capital structure slide, this is becoming a bigger part of our story, is actually having these equity positions in these partner companies. It offers us and our shareholders exposure to these companies. Obviously, in a rising uranium market, we're going to benefit from that. And you'll see here, fairly substantial equity positions and share issuances over the coming years. Just a quick note on Valor, they've commenced a 2,500 meter drill program that's underway. So expect updates and news flow from that over the coming weeks and months. And Basin Basin Uranium and Madero, they are planning exploration programs shortly and plan to be drilling later in the year. So just wrapping up with upcoming catalysts. So again, continue drilling at Moore Lake, exploration funded by partner companies. And I will just note, we have, as of right now, 11,000 meters currently underway on 3 projects, including our flagship Moore Lake project, but the bulk of that meterage being funded by partner companies. I wouldn't be surprised to see 20, maybe even 30,000 meters of drilling collectively over the course of the next 8 to 12 months at the various projects. Look for additional JVs and option partners. And last but not least, as we announced in December, we've added land, we've added properties. We're continuing to evaluate opportunities in the Athabasca Basin. So I'll hand it over. Only got a minute or 2 here, but want to hand it over for any questions.
Great, thanks a lot, Jordan. So we do have a couple here. Just wondering, going into this year with the drilling at Moore Lake, what does the turnaround look like compared to last year for getting assays and news flow?
Yeah, I mean, we'll see, right? Like that's usually a function of how much drilling's taken place in the capacity at the labs. It's going to be a busy year. Usually it's 4 to 5 weeks. Sometimes last year it took a fair bit longer, but I would say, 5 to 6 weeks to be safe. If the labs get jammed up, it'll be a bit longer. But you see the way that, like, we've announced news releases announcing these drill results pretty steadily over a period of time once we start drilling. So the news flow will be consistent.
Great. Okay. And then just a quick question here. I'm not sure if you can really answer it, but have you provided any kind of guidance towards a target for the resource upcoming resource at Moore Lake? Or
needless to say, I can't really comment until we have a 43-101 out, but I would say Dave Talbot does have in his research does put a number out there. So I'll just leave it at that.
Okay, perfect. So with that, we are out of time. Thank you very much, Jordan, and everybody for joining us.
Great, thank you.